bigger giant project is that we got the people. We got 40 plus people who are dedicated to work with us in all things security in our project. People come from 14 countries and 19 organizations, so it's truly international European project. We got money. European Commission gave us a little bit over 4 million euros, which is not a lot for 4 years, but when we come from 0 to 4 million, that's a huge 4 million increase, actually. And we set out the most important tasks and priorities that we want to focus on and split them into 3 tasks: business continuity, security baselining, and products and services. So we are aiming to keep the research and education network in Europe safe and secure. We want to support our partners, the national research and education institutions, in keeping their networks and their connection to our backbone secure. And we want to give them as many up-to-date security tools as we can so we can continue with their safe and secure operations in the environment where we all know with increasing security threats all the time. So I can see that some of you might be raising your hand now and saying, I'm sorry, but why should I care what you do in Europe? What's in it for us? There are a lot of things that can be applied to your working environments. I will outline 3 of them now. So first of all, we work with very diverse organizations. Our members, some of them are very small organizations with a few people only and not even one dedicated security officer. Some have hundreds of people working in security and they have really big organizations going on. So what we need to look for are flexible solutions because our members' organizations are very diverse. And they're so diverse like it is in the rest of the world. So wherever you come from, you probably also have small university teams if we talk about research and education. And you also have massive commercial teams where we have a lot of people and funding to be able to afford a lot of different security solutions. So what we are trying to do, we're trying to look at as many of those solutions possible, find the most flexible ones, and in whatever sector that may be, to offer it to different communities. We are going to look mainly at tools that fit national research and education environment. And those could be open source and free tools, but they also could be some commercial tools that can benefit research and education sector anywhere in the world. So it doesn't have to be in Europe. Once we have those tool sets, they will be made available, and any university in the Philippines or Bangladesh or any other country will be able to pick it up and see if there's something that works for them, be they a huge organization or a really small team. And the third and most important reason, I think, is that cyber threats don't know borders. So we need to collaborate. We have common problems and we need to look for common solutions. And we don't want to leave research and education sector behind. So we want to come to events like these, talk to as many people as possible, see what you're working on, see what you're experts in, and perhaps we can pick your brains or we can actually give back something to you, and in that way increase collaboration in this field. So as I mentioned briefly, everything we do will be made available for anyone to use, and the whole world will be able to benefit if they are in need of anything that we offer. So let's look a little bit closer at the tasks that we have in our work package and security activity. First task is business continuity. It's a very vague term. What we put under it right now are these 4 things. We look a lot at security awareness materials and campaigns and what is already out there. We are currently doing a lot of research into that, and also security training materials. And we are trying to establish best practices and, even more importantly, so practices that shouldn't be used anymore. When we started doing this, we noticed that a lot of people are doing something just because it was done like that before for many, many years, and they're not really changing that, and they're not adapting those materials and those campaigns. So right now we're doing research, but we are also going to organize a big awareness campaign in October, Cybersecurity Month. So that will be a release of awareness materials online, and also we will have a lot of different games and things like that that can be reused elsewhere. So maybe next year I'll come back and tell you how it went, so you can use our methods if you like them. In terms of training, we are also, so far we are in the research stage, so we are looking at what are the gaps, mainly in research and education institutions, and then what expertise we have in communities like this that can be brought back and provide that training that is needed. We run crisis management activity as well, and that is once a year we get all European RNU, not all, but everyone's invited. Many of those institutions come for a big crisis management event. Part of it is crisis simulation. So we simulate a crisis that is related to something that they do in everyday jobs. And then we put them in teams. They have to solve a crisis, and then we evaluate of how it went and have some trainings on how to deal with crisis situations. But we also teach them how to run those simulations in their own countries, in their own organizations. So they have a lot of expertise, and if someone is very interested in that, how to run your own crisis management event or something like that, please ask me. I can direct you to the people who are working on this all the time, and I'm sure you can find it very interesting to talk to them and have those discussions. And at the end, in 4 years, we are hoping to publish business continuity recommendations for research and education institutions, so be it NRNs or university teams, those kind of organizations. The second task is security baselining. You know that there are a lot of different baselines that you can evaluate yourself against. What we decided to do is to make a security baseline for NRN specifically. It can be used for universities too, and it will be a portal where you can just simply type in your information, what you have, what you don't have, and at the end you have a score. It will be very, very simple, something you can bring back to your management and show them this is what we look like in the context, in European context or in the context in the world. They're also looking at biggest security threats for universities, and we're going to publish top 10 security threats, and eventually they will also do some risk management activities. Task 3 is the biggest task, products and services, and I think based on what you've been talking this morning, I think this is the most interesting thing for you, for this audience. We separated products and services into 5 groups right now and what we are focusing on. Of course, we would like to do way more, but due to limitations of time and budget and human resources, we had to pick out these. We had consultations with different communities in Europe and abroad with experts, and we decided that these are the things that we need to offer first and foremost, and then we will, obviously, once that is developed, we can move on and do something else and see what else is needed. So the first one is SOC tools. I feel like I have to say tools because whenever we say SOC, people imagine that we are going to come to their country or their university, create a SOC for them, and then they will have it running happily ever after. Or even better, we will create an all-European SOC and nobody will ever have to do a day of work. We're not going to do that. We are going to put together a set of common tools that could be used by a typical NRN SOC, whatever that may be. And those tools the list of tools will include commercial and open source tools. And this is, again, a great example of what can be just brought into your daily life, and you can just go through it, you can look at it, you can update something, you can make suggestions for us. So once that is out, I think that it will be one of the things that we will do a little tour around with and show it to people who are working in those environments and ask them for their opinions. The second subtask is vulnerability assessment as a service. So here we are looking at legal guidelines for approval for scanning, which are different in every country. Even in Europe, it differs. And then we are going to pilot different vendors and make recommendations of what we think is the best to use in our environment. DDoS coordination, DDoS mitigation is another task. So one of the main reasons why we have this task in here is because 5 years ago when I started working at Giant, when I joined this community, research and education, whenever we would bring it up, we would say, well, should we do a DDoS workshop or should we do some talks on DDoS in our conferences? The academic networks used to say, like, nobody's going to DDoS us. Like, why would anyone DDoS us? We're just like university networks, you know, and it never happens. Focus on something else, you know. And just as we had those discussions, one of our biggest members in the UK, JISC, was hit by a massive DDoS attack. And from then on, all we heard was DDoS, DDoS, DDoS. Let's do something together. Let's mitigate. Let's create something. Let's, you know, look into some software that we could use. So our member in Germany, DFN CERT, they are working on the software that is called NEMO. It provides initial alarms, analysis of the attack design, and implements some countermeasures. And they're within this project, we are we're continuing to work on this software, but also we just want to sort of get everyone in the room and get them talking about it and share what they do. Like, what do you do? What do you do? And then sort of instead of reinventing the bicycle all the time, start to use 2 or 3 bicycles that are already invented and work well. The 4th subtask, Firewall on Demand, is obviously very much related to the DDoS task. It's a DDoS mitigation solution that we currently provide only for giant network users. It allows them to administer BGP FlowSec rules via a web interface, but it's also still in development phase. So it is in use, but we are still developing and coming up with new versions of that as well, but that's something that our community highly appreciates. And the 5th subtask or product or service that we are working on is EduVPN. I don't know if any of you have heard of EduVPN? One person, perfect. Then, I'm here for a reason. So EduVPN is pretty self-explanatory. It's a VPN service that we provide for international researchers, students, staff of universities, basically an education community. It is deployed in a number of countries, and not only in Europe. So again, one more example of where we can do something that is useful for you. We have EduVPN instances now in Uganda, Ukraine, and one more country outside of Europe, and I don't remember right now, but if you download the app, you will see the list of countries. Australia, actually. In Australia, we also piloting that. So that is one service that we try to do some outreach and encourage people to use it. So if you're interested, I can get you in touch with people who are working on the application, and then see if that is something that you can bring home and use as well. We are also doing a lot of support outside of all of that. We are doing a lot of support for security community. So I won't do the show of hands again, but Task Force CSIRT, TF-CSIRT, is probably something that maybe some of you have heard about. And that is a community of CSIRT teams and professionals in Europe mainly, pan-European maybe, RIPE NCC region mainly, but we also have some teams from outside that region. If they want to join, it's kind of like FIRST, but in Europe. And I think one of our biggest advantages is that we have teams from different sectors, so not only commercial teams or governmental teams, but also research and education teams that we feel like sometimes are left behind a little bit because of a lack of resources, funds, and people. So we are very happy that we are providing this forum where people can come together from universities and from NRNs and from commercials and from banks and from all kinds of different CERT teams and connect and talk about the issues that they're facing. They meet 3 times a year, and the meetings are big. We have one upcoming next week in Cyprus, and we have almost 200 registrations. So they are quite big meetings. They're kind of mini conferences. We're not really task forces anymore, but TF-CSIRT became kind of a brand, so we left it like this. And this community came up with a service called Trusted Introducer, which is part of a triangle. And Trusted Introducer is like a process for CSIRT teams to introduce themselves to each other, to get to know each other, and to build trust. There is a Trusted Introducer directory online that anyone can use. A big part of it is open for you if you want to find a team that you want to work with and get in touch with them. That database is continuously updated, so it's really up-to-date information about CSIRT teams, mainly in Europe, but also elsewhere. And also this service lists the teams based on their maturity. So listed teams are the most basic one, the basic level. You can enter the community if you have 2 other organizations vouch for you. And then when you become a bit more mature, you can get accredited and certified. And those are the different levels of a game. And one more thing, part of that triangle is transits training. And that is a training that is created by the community experts and led by the community experts. There are 2 transits levels, Transits 1, which is the basic level, and Transits 2, which is more advanced level for people who have been working in CSIRT for a longer time. And I think this is where it gets really interesting for everyone here. Transits 1 is made up of 4 modules: operational, technical, organizational, and legal. And the link there leads you to the materials that are under Creative Commons license, so everyone can use it. You can take those materials and use the whole package or parts of it for non-commercial use. So you can lead those courses yourselves. You can obviously ask for our help, and we can try to find community trainers that would come to your organization or your institution and help you lead those trainings. Or even better, you can always contact APNIC, and APNIC has really nice and good and exceptional trainers that can come and do those courses for you. Jamie is right there, transits expert. It is really affordable because the materials are free, and we monitor the quality because those materials have to stay remain relevant according to the practices that are existing right now. So we always ask the experts from the community to look into them, to update them, to make them relevant, to change the examples and all of that stuff. But I think the best thing for you to do is to go to to the website, download one module, have a look at it, and see whether you think that you could offer it to someone who you know, or someone who would like to start a CSIR team in their little organization, or someone who just started and they need a little bit of capacity building, a little bit of boost of their skills to be very successful in the CSIRT world. So because we have this amazing thing, and we organize a couple of trainings every year in Europe that are fully booked, we thought that maybe we can actually bring it to other regions of the world, and we can use it for academic institutions somewhere where they are much needed. And this is how CSIR Development in Asia project was born. We collaborated with ATT&CK, who run Asia Connect project. We got funding from them to run CSIR Development in Asia Pacific project, the major part of which is Transits 1 trainings. So we brought 4 Transits 1 trainings into the region, and we taught it to people who work in R&E organizations. But also, we, next to those trainings, we ran CSIRT in Asia meetings that were mini TF CSIRT meetings, where we invited people who came to the trainings to share their experiences and to share their challenges and to get them talking, like, what are you working on? What are you failing at, or what are you very successful at? So yeah, so we had these conversations, and over 60 people were funded to attend those trainings. I think in total over 80 or 90 people came, because some people came of their own initiative. And we had funded participants from 15 countries in the region, which we thought was a very good result. It lasted 2 years. So exactly 2 years ago we started, and then we finished. We're just finishing now. After we ran those 4 things that were pre-planned, we thought of another really nice idea. We had a little bit of time and money left, and we thought, we met people through these trainings in Asia Pacific that have a lot of potential to do it themselves. And we decided that we are going to create a bespoke Train the Trainer course for them, to invite 10 people back from those trainings that we ran previously in the region, and give this training to them for 2 days, a very interactive training about how to create material for your own course, how to deliver material, how to evaluate whether it was successful or not, like all of these little things that are needed for you in order to run a successful training. So 9 countries were represented. My colleague Irina from Jayand, who is head of development and learning, she created the whole course from zero. And those are the lucky attendees in the photo. Some of them are in the room, so if you would like to ask them about their experiences and their plans further, what are they going to do with all this knowledge, do approach them. And this is kind of the end of our project, but it's not a good, we said it's not a goodbye, it's a see you later, Asia, because we really want, I mean, we expect the people who came and who were trained by us to apply for funding themselves, to organize more training in research and education communities in this region, and you can do it too. So as I said, the training materials are available for everyone, the help is there, the support is there. If you're interested, if you think that this would be useful for anyone, please, this is a call for arms. Let's all do it together and have more CSIRT soldiers out there. Cybersecurity threats defy national borders and continents, so I think so should we. And if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Sudha Bhuvaneshwari from India.
Hello.
I just saw that there is a research collaboration with universities. And if we want to collaborate, what is the minimum expectation from your side to collaborate on research activities?
Oh, to come into those communities?
Yeah.
Well, if you would like to join the TFC cert community, then I think the main basic requirement is that you do that you do incident response, because sometimes we get teams, well, not teams, but groups of people who work in IT in universities, and they say we want to be part of it, and we say, do you actually do incident response? And they say, no, we don't, but we would like to one day maybe. So TFC cert really needs someone who is doing incident response, and also who knows at least 2 teams in the community who would vouch for them, who would say, yes, they do that, and they do it well, and they're legit. So that's the minimum requirement to be part of a TFC cert community. In terms of transits trainings, there are no minimum requirements. If you want to take it and use it and give it yourself in your community, then please go ahead. If you would like to connect to the people who attended those trainings throughout the project, they're here in the first row. So talk to them during the break and see if you could join one of their projects in the future, because I think yesterday we were talking about it during dinner, and they said it would be really nice to do not only projects in their own country, but to collaborate with other countries and other universities and write international projects, and that would bring more benefit.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sigita. And thanks for bringing your activity to our event in Chiang Mai this year. Clay.
Hey, our next presentation will again be coming from Thailand, from Thai Cert this time, looking at living off the land, an APT case study from Setthawhut. Sorry,
Setthawhut.
Sorry. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Setthawhut Saennam. I'm the security engineer at Thai Cert. So today I would like to talk about living off the land and an APT case study. Okay. Just for safety reasons, because my talk will cover both fact, both observing and some opinions. So some of my opinion is just for me, just for myself. And let me introduce myself a bit. So I worked in Thai Cert for more than 8 years, and Thai Cert is operated under ETDA in Thailand. So I have worked in multiple roles, from incident response to digital forensic to malware analysis and to cyber threat intelligence, and in the technical writer and public speaker. So you can contact me at my email, setthawhut@etda.or.th. So today's topic will cover about 4 main categories. In the first half of the talk, I will cover about the concept and example of the living of the land attack in the FIR perspective, and explain about the detection, analysis, and challenges for when we have to handle this type of incident case. And the rest of the presentation will talk about case study that the APT activity in Thailand. So, living off the land is the name of the technique. That's a name of the post-exploitation technique that abuse the legitimate built-in executable files in OS to do an unexpected activity. This concept is not new. We have found this concept long time ago. But since Microsoft introduced the PowerShell in recent version of Windows, so if you follow the news like analysis report or threat intelligence report, you will see the name "Living of the Land attack" has been talked in almost news today. So the word or the concept of the living of the land was introduced by Christopher Campbell and Matt Graber at DevCon 3.0 in 2013. But in that time, they focused on only Microsoft executable. The benefits of using LOL attack it can evade the detection. It can avoid writing file to disk, like running executable file from the memory, and it can use to bypass security mechanism like used as proxy execution. So the terms LOL bin was introduced by Oliver Moore in the 2018. The LOL bin is shortened from living of the land, boundaries. But in that time, after he started the project LOL bin, he also found that they're not just a binary file in Windows, they also have some script file or some library file that still can be used to execute unexpected behavior. So they renamed the project to LOLBAS. You can see you can see the project as a LOLBAS project.github.io is the website of the project. So this is the LOLBAS website. From this website, you can see a lot of tools, a lot of commands that you can use. If you are an attacker, you can use the command and use the sample command to execute. For example, you can, if you click the search util command, you see the assembly command to encrypt or decrypt file. Encode, decode file, not encrypt. And then you can use the search utils to download or execute file using alternate data stream. The LOL file is not just used for execute. They can use to download or copy file. They can use to encode, decode. They can use to compile the file. Attacker can just send the source code file to the victim machine and then use the compiler on the machine to compile the malware file and execute it. And they can use to dump content of the memory, content of the file, and dump the credential from the system. For example, the csc.exe, this is a very interesting file. This is a C# compiler. You don't have to install the C# compiler in your system. The csc.exe is automatically deployed on your system if you install the .NET framework. So if your system have .NET framework installed, the attacker can abuse this exe to compile the source code of the C# file. And the rest you can see from the previous website. So the previous slide is talking about attacker perspective, but okay, I will talk about defender perspective when we have to handle the case that involve with the LOL attack. To detect whether the system have been compromised or have been attacked by living of the land technique, we need to find the evidence of execution that can obtain by at least 4 methods. The first, we can obtain it by looking at the running process. Second, from the process execution event log. The third, from resource usage monitor. And then the fourth is passing this timeline. So the first method This is the easiest method. So estimate the running process. If the system is running, we can obtain the memory image and then analyze the PS list, PS3, or condition, or something that relate to process execution. We can use the command line from the volatility to see what is the process has been executed, what the command line has been passed to the process. But if we cannot obtain the memory image yet, or we have to create a live triage on the system, we can just open the Windows Task Manager and right-click on the column and select Show Process Path or Process Command, and you will see the process command line, which is indicate how this process has been launched. If you can run the forensic triage tool on the system, you can collect the whole process command list. But if you cannot install or if you cannot run auto program on the system, you can just use the WMAC command or the task list command to obtain the process information, including command of the process. But the concern of this method is memory analysis just show only the information of the process that have been running since the last time that the system has been rebooted. So it may be difficult to track the process timeline, track the whole process execution timeline. So this is an example of the task manager in Windows 10. If you right-click on the column and you click to show the process name, process path, and process command line, it will show a sequence of the process command line by like this picture. From my experience, I have when I have to handle the system that have been compromised by malware, and the system is running. The first time I will do is to check whether there's a suspicious process is running and check the command line, because sometimes we will obtain the command line that command that execute the process with some parameter like a username or password or credential or the IP of the C2 that runs the process. The second method is see the process creation log. If we cannot obtain the memory data, we can analyze the Windows event log to see how history of process creation. In older version of Windows is stored in the event log 8592, but in the recent version of Windows is stored in the event 4688. And in the newer version of Windows, it also include the process command line in the Windows event log. So you can see how the process has been launched. But the problem of this method is the default configuration of Windows just log only the process that has been launched when the Windows start. So if you want to see the information of the process that user have been launched, it might not show in the Windows event log. You need to configure the group policy to enable the audit process creation to have this log in the system. This is an example of the Windows event log in Windows 10. It will show process information, the process name, process path, and process command line. In some cases, we analyzed the event log and found that the attacker used a normal process to execute file from the specific path, that they hide their file in the path that like a system path. But we found that this is a malicious activity. The third method is SRUM, SRUM. In Windows, sorry for the typo. is a Windows Server 2012, not 2010. In Windows 8 and Windows Server 2012, Microsoft have introduced the feature named System Resource Usage Monitor, or SRUM. This feature will store history of the system resource usage, for example, CPU, process, memory, or disk, and it will log information in the database file at the path system/sru/srudb.dat. And you can use the open source tool named SRUM dump to pass this database into the Microsoft Excel file. And then you can analyze the history of running process. But the drawbacks of this method is SRUM only log the process name and the usage time, but it did not log the process execution command line. So it's still hard to decide which is the normal window operation or is has been launched by malicious people or malicious intention. Yeah, this is what have been found when we use the SRUM dump to pass the SRUM DB to an Excel file. You will see the timeline, and you will see the list of exe files that have been launched, and the user that launched the process. Okay, the fourth method is the hardest thing and time-consuming. The timeline is just to use the open source tool or use some tool to pass the MFT history to create a timeline, and to analyze how what happened after the process have created. For example, when we analyze the case, we found that some suspicious process have been run. We did not know what happened after the process have been run or who is running the process. But we saw that some suspicious file has been dropped or has been accessed after the process has been launched. So from analyzing the timeline might reveal some activity that hacker do after they can compromise the system. Okay, well, let's go for case study. This is a case study that we received from the trusted party. We received the intelligence report from the trusted party about there are some APT activity that targeting high-level organization in Thailand. And we confirm with the administrator of the organization, and they also confirm that there are some suspicious activity happen on the on the target system, like a suspicious service have been running on the email server or on the domain server, and the domain controller admin account has been compromised, and they found some evidence of the data exfiltration. Okay, to do this case, we will do this case by comply with the Cyber Q-Chain and MITRE ATT&CK framework. The challenges for analyze this case is the system did not have much useful logs, because when the system was rebooted, the memory or the memory, the process that have been launched after the system was compromised have gone. So we can see only the process that running at the time that we collect the evidence, and Windows event log did not record the process that user have been launched. Windows Server did not record the prefetch database. And the system using the old version of Windows, so there is no SRUM database. The last thing that we can analyze is the passing MFT to create a timeline manually. And but luckily, the attacker still left, or they might forget to remove some evidence, some trace on the machine. So we still have some trace to see what happened on the system and what method that they used to compromise. So according to the timeline, we are working in the second process, in the containment, eradication, and recovery. Because this the incident like this, we have to talk with both technical and management or policymaker people. So the Lockheed Martin cyber Q chain is easier to map the attack scenario and to explain with the policymaker level, but it's the Lockheed Martin, the cyber Q chain is not enough for technical people to follow because it's just too high level. For technical people, we use a MITRE ATT&CK framework that have the detail or the collection of the APT attacking group that we can use to map with our finding, so we can determine who is the attacker, who is the APT group based on that behavior. Okay, this is a mapping cyber Q chain and the MITRE ATT&CK. So this is a, oh, sorry for typo again, this is a TTP, not a TPP. So according to the intelligence report that we received from our party, they said, the report said the attacking group might use this technique to compromise the system. So we extract the content from the report and arrive with the MITRE ATT&CK framework, and we found they might similar to one or two attacking group. It's not confirmed yet. And we use this information to start and to map our finding because it's easier for us to follow the report from the previous report to see how what we have to find. This is our finding. Something overlap with the report, and something we have found on the system. According to our finding, it may occur by many reasons. For example, it might happen by the same attacking group, but using different method, or it might happen by another attacking group with a different tool and different purpose. But from our recent analysis, we found that the system was compromised by at least 2 APT groups by different purposes. Okay, this is an overview of the attack scenario that we found. So first, they compromised the email server. We still don't know how the server was compromised. It's maybe credential has been leaked somewhere else because they look like they use the credential with other system, or they might attack the vulnerability in the system. We don't know because the information that's still left on the system is not enough to tell us. But okay, we know that the credential of the admin have been compromised. Then after that, the attacker running the credential harvesting tool like Mimikat or some AD Active Directory credential harvesting tool like Bloodhound, something like that, to get the information of the AD database. After that, they have they're able to retrieve the password of the AD admin account. Then they move from the email server to the AD server. We found that the attacker download file from the internet. This file have been encoded by base64, and then after the file have dropped on the system, the attacker used pre-install tool in the Windows to decode the file, and then use the C# compiler to compile it and execute it. We found at least 5 or 6 specific malware that had been created for compromise the system. Okay, after that, after they can compromise the AD and dumping the credential, they stole confidential file from the system, and they drop the legitimate WinR.exe to the system and use it to encrypt to create the encrypt archive file, and then sending out through the ordinary cloud service like Dropbox, OneDrive, or something that make it similar to the normal operation of the user in the system. They also install legitimate VPN software in the system to prevent the detection of the antivirus tool. So this case is interesting because they use very few customized malware. They just use only the tool that can gather from the internet. And the antivirus log did not find any suspicious thing on the system when the time that the attacker compromised and stole files. Okay, since the LOL attack is still difficult to detect or difficult to prevent because it's using the pre-installed battery and using the legitimate side battery to execute. So if we don't have enough log, it's still difficult for the analyst to follow or to trace back the evidence. To mitigate the attack, we can use Windows App Locker to whitelisting or blacklisting the executable file that we allow to run on the system. But even using the Windows App Locker, it still can bypass. So another mitigation method should be using the monitoring tools like using Sysmon or something like that to install and alert the admin to when the anomaly event have been occurred on the system. This is the example of the Sysmon event log. I take a photo from the Twitter. According to the Sysmon event log, which is the Sysmon event log is provide more detailed information than the Windows system. It also provide information about parent process, and the command that execute the parent process instead of just the command line of the current process that has been launched. So if we have the log, this type of log on the system, it should be easier for us to investigate. Oh, okay. This is a reference. I just upload the recent version of my slide in the system, so you may see the newer version and more reference on the slide if you download it. Okay, question?
Thank you for your presentation. I'm just reading a question from a remote participant here from Cambodia. I have a question relating to botnets. is there any available tools or method to detect botnet on a user's computer which is being compromised by an attacker? I know that there are enterprise and licensed software. I'd like to know if there's any available free tools besides the licensed software.
Botnet. It's a tough question because it can be both yes and no. Because from my experience, botnet, when the botnet infected the system, at least it should send sending a signal back to the command and control server. So if we can detect the signal, it should be indicator of compromise. But and if we found that botnet that loudly that like sending ping or sending beacon to the C2 server in every 1 or 2 hours, we'll see a lot of anomaly activity in the network traffic. But despite analyze the network log, we still can detect the list of running process in the system and detect the part of the executable file. So the malware can hide, but it must run on the system. So if the botnet is still running on the system and still connect to the internet, I think we still have able to detect and fight. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, one question. So this attack, LOL, living off the land, is it applicable to other platforms as well, like Linux or routers, or is it just Windows? Just
Other
curious.
platform too, but this talk is just focused on Windows. Okay, thank you. Okay, this is my great opportunity to be here, so thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation. Our next presentation is going to be about why you need a bug bounty program from Pasan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Aiboan and good afternoon. Swadika. To kick off this session, I'll start with my name. My name is Pasan Lamahewa. I come from a beautiful country in Indian Ocean, which is Sri Lanka. Minutes. Sorry for the delay, guys. I'm a security researcher and a bug bounty hunter. And also, to describe me in a nutshell, I'm a pilot trainee and an undergraduate in business management and cybersecurity. In today's world, there are people with elusive minds who put your home, business, and organizations at a risk. To prevent that from happening, we need to have a program called Bug Bounty, or a policy for your company that helps you to get help from security researchers around the world. There are different types of hackers in the world, like black hat hackers, gray hat, and white hat, like us. A black hat hacker is a person who attempts to find computer security vulnerabilities and exploit them for personal financial gain and malicious activities. A gray hat hacker is a computer hacker or computer security expert who may sometimes violate laws in order to help the organizations prevent any breaches being occurred. Why you need a BBP, which is a bug bounty program? And organizations updates with technology, so well as the elusive minds are getting more and more sophisticated. Security bug exists in softwares, web applications, and systems. This is a fact. Cyber crimes are committed using computer or smartphone technology. There are different types of criminals who will manipulate you using social engineering attacks, phishers who will attempt you to open a link and expose your systems in a risk. Bug bounty is a program is not fighting the fire with fire, but prevention of fire. It takes a white hat hacker to think before a guy creeps in. The most common vulnerabilities are SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and broken authentication. According to a research done by EDScan Vulnerability States Report, ION and the security, they says that 39.1% websites has cross-site scripting on their websites, and SQL injection around 24.9%, which is putting all the websites and companies at a big risk from occurring breaches. Why bug bounties are important to your organization? Bug bounties are important tool that helps finding potential vulnerabilities or flaws at a low cost. But this has been often misunderstood. That's why the nature and the purpose of a bug bounty schemes are openly discussed in US Senate. Security researchers think differently, and we, the white hat hackers, must think beyond the box, think beyond a hacker, and act ethically and responsibility. If you dig into the history of bug bounty, in 1983, Volkswagen has, according to my knowledge, Volkswagen has, they are the first people to open a bug bounty program, which is on 1983. Anyone who has found a bug in this program will get a Volkswagen as a gift. That's how the AKA name bug bounty came into place. In 1994, Jared Riedlinghofer, a technical support engineer at Netscape Communication Corporation, given a face bug bounty. Reading Heifer presented a proposal for the Netscape bug bounty program at the Netscape executive team. Everyone expected the VP of engineering did not agree, thinking it will be a waste of resources and money. However, Reading Heifer was given an initial $50 as budget to start a bug bounty program. The first bug bounty program was launched in 1995. It was 22 years ago. The program was such a huge success, it's mentioned in many of the books detailing Netscape's successes. In 2011, Dutch hacker Jobert Obama and Michael Prince found a security flaws in hundreds of prominent high-tech companies. Some of them are, as for example, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft, and Twitter as well. While many firms ignored their disclosure attempts, the chief operating officer at Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg, gave the warning to their head of product security, Alex Rice. Alex Rice, with Obama and Prince, they founded HackerOne, a platform which is used for it's a platform that's used for crowdsourcing, where hackers and organizations communicate each other. It has a transparency between the hacker and the organization, and HackerOne helps you to manage all the reports you get related to security issues. And HackerOne is a platform that helps you to act like a middleman and do the transactions with the hacker in a secure way. In November 2013, the company hosted a program encouraging the discovery and responsible disclosure of software bugs, funded by Microsoft and Facebook, who runs one of the largest bug bounty programs in the world. HackerOne had identified approximately 10,000 vulnerabilities and paid researchers over $1 million in bounties in April 2017. The company announced 240 year-over-year customer growth in Europe. HackerOne is a vulnerability coordination platform, if I describe it further, that connects business with pen testers and cybersecurity researchers. This is one of the first companies along with SyncHack and Bugcrowd, who's operating one of the largest open crowd sources for hackers. And cybersecurity researchers as pings its business model. It's the largest cybersecurity firm. It's kind of, as July 2018, HackerOne network considered approximately 20,000 researchers, and he had resolved 72,000 vulnerabilities across over 10,000 customers. HackerOne has paid around 31 million bounties since their start. As I said before, okay. As I said before, Facebook and Google operates one of the largest bug bounty programs in the world. For an average bug bounty for a critical vulnerability was 1,923, although the payment varies across different platforms and organizations. Bugcrowd also provides a managed bug bounty platform and has its own set of data on vulnerabilities payouts. First.org is collaborating with APNIC, and they too has a bug bounty program on their website. There are different type of organizations who thinks they are genius and they are bulletproof. They will never recognize a report we send to them. They always think they are immortal. And the genius companies will take the report seriously and will recognize the researcher. Some companies have no idea about what is a bug bounty. and they will, and their team is not capable enough to go through a report, but they will appreciate the effort we have done to them. These are some couple of certificates I have got as a recognition from Intel and Marketplace for my efforts for reporting a security vulnerability to them. We as researchers, we do not always think about money when we send a report. We appreciate a simple thank you from organization. From my experience, I have worked with a telecommunication company. I was trying to help them with one of the leading telecommunication companies in South Asia. I reported them a severe security vulnerability that will put their users in a risk of a data breach. But the company has ignored the report, and it's been over 8 months now since I haven't got any response. I approached the head of IT, and they haven't acted ethically, nor has fixed the bug. This is a great example for what I mentioned before. Even if an organization doesn't offer bug bounties, you can have a disclosure policy, which will let hackers help you out. Because you have legally asked them to hack and report the vulnerability or the security flaw you have in your company. When you start a bug bounty program, you should mention the scope, whereas let them know what is not in the scope. And that way security research can find out the security flaws that occurs in your company's network or the web. There are some useful links for you. If you are planning on starting a bug bounty program for your organization or the company, you can go to HackerOne, and there are guides you can help you to create a bug bounty program. If you have any questions about the session, please feel free to ask me now, or you can send me an email. I'll be happy to help you out. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Has anyone else participated in a bug bounty program? No? All good? Cool. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to let you guys off early for the coffee break, do a little bit more networking and trust building, and we'll start back again at 4 o'clock.